What's up, Fight Fitters? Welcome to the podcast, episode number 12. A couple of people watching already. That's good. We've got Cam Eyes on the podcast today, one of the best trainers at FightFit. And for those of you who have been watching in recent weeks, you know we'd love to give Cam a shout out, just building the suspense until the great man gets onto the podcast. So welcome, mate. Thank you so much for sparing some of your time for us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Thanks, mate. So what got you into martial arts or boxing specifically to start?
So I started off boxing, I guess. A friend of mine in high school, he used to do a bit of boxing. His old man was a bit of a boxer as well. And It pretty much started off as we just go down to a local hall just here in Albert Park. And pretty much we'll just punch each other up for, an hour after school each day of the week. That was probably in year 7. From there, it progressed to the PCYC coming down there. PCYC from St Kilda. They came down, ran a couple of classes for the school as well, and then offered, I guess, cheap memberships for students to participate at their gym. Did a couple of boxing classes there. That went for a couple of years, on and off. I was at this same time I was playing rugby. Both my parents are from New Zealand, so I was sort of dragged in that sport for a good 10 years or so. But I got sick of being the small white kid I was always pretty fit. I always tried hard. So I was always pretty fit. But when you're running up against 100-kilo kids when you're 15 and 16.
Yeah, I played a bit of rugby as well.
It's not fun at all. Brutal. I'd be fitter than most, but it's a team sport, and if you don't have your players backing you up, you end up pretty sore after each game.
100%. You obviously had a few professional fights and under Paul Fifield. How did you meet Paul? How did that relationship begin?
So I met Paul as a teacher through Frank Dando Sports Academy. That's when I was around about, I think I was 15 years old then. 15 years old. First started off, he was just a teacher at the school. They obviously do martial arts, karate, judo, boxing, kickboxing as a sport at their school, as a part of their curriculum. So I was engaged in that throughout the school, and it wasn't until about a year and a bit on, I asked Paul if I could come down to his gym and train with him. Thankfully, he said yes. And then from then, I think it was about 16 years old, I've been training with him ever since. And we had 30 amateur fights together and 9 professional fights.
Long road. So can you explain just kind of how Frank Dando Sports Academy works? It's a really interesting concept, I guess. So I think people might want to hear that.
So Frank Dando Sports Academy is a school for boys who don't fit into mainstream education. So I went there after 3.5 years in normal schools, normal curricular schools in Victoria. And then, so it basically works as you show up, you do boxing, karate, kickboxing, judo in the morning. After that, you'll sit down, you'll do some English. From there, we go on to do some swimming throughout the day, as well, an hour of swimming. And from there, you do maths at the end of the day. So that's the 4 main units of study at the school. And then after a couple of years, some kids choose to go back to mainstream education, mainstream schooling, or other people might choose to get a job or go into a trade, something like that. So,
and why did you feel like you sort of weren't fitting into mainstream schooling?
So I went to Frank Dando's after being at 3 different schools over 3.5 years. I found out that I didn't really conform to the requirements of the school. I was a bit naughty. I was a bit of a smart ass. I won't lie. I always got into trouble. I never really skipped school or wag school. I'd always go to school because I found if I skipped school, I'd end up being bored anyway and probably get into more trouble outside of school. So I generally went to school, misbehaved, got in trouble, got kicked out, went to the next school, misbehaved, got in trouble, got kicked out, and finally until I found Frank Dando's. And you go to Frank Dando's and then you're approached by these big mountain of men. They're fit, they're strong, they're healthy. And you know pretty well where you stand straight away. You're not going to answer back to these guys because if you do, there's a punishment coming straight around the corner. So you're allowed to get the cane, the whip, the hose was one of the kids' favorite there. They used to cop a bit of a strap of the hose over the backside. Or sometimes they're just in the sparring session, the teachers jump in and, you know, if you've done something wrong, because generally they'll tee you up on the last round of the sparring session.
Yeah.
And you'll know you're in for some trouble after that.
Yeah. And how did you find that experience? And did you find that suited you better? And like, what did you get from that?
They automatically command respect from you, you know. So in a normal school, I found that, you know, you've got middle-aged women that I guess don't really resemble a figure of power to me, I guess. Like, and they can't really control the class. I find, like, for someone who's a bit destructive like me in class, I was being, I guess, a bit disrespectful. In hindsight now, I can see that.
Yeah.
And didn't really pay attention and respect that they deserved. You know, that's their job, to teach and educate me as a student. And I guess I didn't really want to participate in that. So I did what I wanted to do. I got kicked out. I see these big grown men who are fit and strong. And I paid attention real quick, you know. I guess it was somewhat out of fear. And then over time, it came out of respect for them as well, you know. So you form a closer relationship with the teachers. Being, I guess, 20, 25 students in there, there's 4 teachers. You start to build a relationship with the teachers, which is good.
Yeah, I had a similar sort of experience in high school. I went to 4 different high schools, and I never found that it really suited me and my needs and my personality. I was a bit of a scallywag as well at school. But I think it's a really interesting concept, the idea of Frank Dando Sports Academy and teaching that level of discipline that I wish that I had maybe acquired at a younger age. I didn't have to go and, you know, wait till I was sort of 21.
You look back in hindsight and you go, oh, yeah, I probably could have been a little bit better behaved, you know.
And I guess when you're that age, it's really hard to have the respect. Like, as you said, when you've got like middle-aged people trying to like, you know, science teachers and all this sort of stuff, trying to control you. Like, I remember when I was a student, it would be like one of the funnest things that I would do was like make a teacher blow a lid. You know? Like when you really made a teacher crack.
I'll be up in the back of the science lab trying to blow up Bunsen burners and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Catch them on fire. So,
and like you just, when you're that age, you don't have like the sort of empathy and like the people skills to realize that this is another person. Maybe they're having a bad day. Like they're just trying to do their job. Like when you're a bit older, you can realize that. Yeah. I guess that would have been a cool thing that you got from Frank Dando's.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I got a couple of lifelong friends out of it, especially. And then from that, I guess training with Paul, I met a whole lot of more people who've been really kind and generous with their time and their effort and their money over, I guess, the course of a good 15 years, which is quite remarkable. Yeah.
So how did you go from sort of training and, you know, doing sports to then getting serious about being competitive and fighting amateur fights?
Well, it started off, it took me a while I was quite nervous actually to ask Paul if I could come and train his place. I think it took me a good 6 weeks to get up the courage and say, hey mate, do you mind? And I remember actually he was dropping me home at the training station one day and I said, hey mate, do you want any more fighters at your gym? Quietly. And he's like, why is that? Do you have a friend who wants to fight? And straight away my heart sunk going, oh, he doesn't think I've got what it takes to be a fighter. You know, that actually,
he thinks I'm asking for a mate.
Yeah, that hurt me quite a bit, you know. And I go, no, I want to fight. I want to come down. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, well, we'll train tomorrow. Come down and see how you go. So that's when I'm pretty sure I was 16 then. Yeah, just would have turned 16. And I trained for a little bit with him. I remember the gym was just full of these like world title challenges, world title holders, Australian title holders. So it was quite a daunting place to go. And then me and a young little 16-year-old kid, I thought I was pretty good at school because I was one of the older ones and I had better boxing skills than the rest of them. And I got there and again, I learnt my place pretty fast. You know, I was the young little cub. So it after I think it was about 6 months or so.
Do you have any names of people who were there when you first got there?
So the first few guys who were there, like the big names were Tasos Petridis, Sam Greco was around. Remember one day Sam Greco bought him Bob Sapp. He's another K1
Bob
fighter.
Sapp.
Yeah, big black fella. He's huge. He's mountain.
He is a
huge
ginormous
guy.
man.
He's in a movie. It's a prison movie where they play gridiron.
If anybody's listening to this and want to know who Bob Sapp is, just Google images him and you'll realize
he's huge. And so that was a quite amazing experience to see him down there as well. Who else was there? Tony Tacasio, Eddie Dalick was there as well. Faisal Fayed, Mark Mullins, like all these guys who are experienced boxers, kickboxers.
What a team.
Yeah. And that was like
for a young dude to walk in and see that sort of like caliber of fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be daunting, but did they treat you with respect?
Yeah, they're always very nice and I guess looking to help me progress and better myself, I guess. But I guess when you start sparring, you start to learn pretty quick. You know, they put a few punches on you. They let you know your place and where you are just to keep you honest. I remember one time, I think it was one of the earliest sparring sessions where I was kept on dropping my hand. Paul goes, keep your right hand up, keep your right hand up. And I thought I was keeping up. And then before you know it, one of the guys just dropped a big right hand on me. Poof, I copped that. I was like, and then I cracked the shits after that. And I was like, stormed off, went home. I was on the train because I used to catch a train there by myself. Just sat on the seat on the train, just angry at the world for an hour until I got home. And I'm like, no, I'm going to come back and beat all these guys one day. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back bigger and stronger. I'm going to get them all. So,
and now they're old men, and you can.
Yeah, that's it. I just had to play the waiting game. That was my game. That was my game, you know, because most of them were older, so I just had to play that waiting game, and I was just swoop in once they're all old and had their time, you know. So
exactly. And so, did you move on to fighting amateurs quite quickly then?
I think it was a year or so. I had a couple of interclub sparring sessions, and then from there, I had I think I had 9 or so amateur fights before I had an injury and I hurt my back. And my amateur career was pretty average, to be honest. Like, I think I won my first fight, then lost the next 3 or 4 fights after that. Won a couple of more, then had a break for 2 years almost due to injury and whatnot, and then came back, had another 12 or so to finish off. Yeah.
I remember I saw a video of you fighting. I can't remember what the guy's name was, but it was for like an amateur state title, I think.
Mark Basile, I think that's the only one on. Yeah. That was my first.
He was such a big guy for for the size. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I know. Someone showed me that recently. That was on YouTube. I didn't know that. And then you look at me, and then you look at him. He's a good, like, sort of foot taller.
Yeah, and he looks built as well. I'm like, how are you guys fighting?
That's right. I was like, geez, what's going on here? But I think he was just a bit more experienced at his weight and how to cut weight and whatnot. I was always, 69 was the weight kilo cutoff. So I was 64 to 69 was the weight class. And I was always sitting around 68-ish. So I was always lighter for my weight lighter for my class. So you have these other guys who are maybe 71, 72, and they drop down to 69 to make the national cutoff. So yeah, looking back at that now, he gave me a good touch up in that fight. The first round was maybe a little bit even, and then he came home with a couple of good strong rounds to finish off.
Yeah, it was a good fight though. It was a good fight to watch, and you really showed your heart as well. Yeah, in that fight. And I guess I was actually speaking to Paul before you came in today, and I said to him, mate, give me some stories that I can stitch Cam up with. and he goes to me, I don't really have any, and he started telling me this story. I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to be a good one. And he's telling me about how there was a school camp one day, and you came in with like a big swollen cheek, and then you refused to not go on the camp. You were like, I'm coming along, and it was like, I think you guys were like hiking and cooking and all that sort of stuff out in the sticks for a few days. Yeah. And then he gave you a few Panadols, and you had a few Panadols, and you got home. Yeah. And he told your mum to take you to the doctor. Yeah. And what you had like a...
Yeah, so my cheekbone was actually broken and caved in. So So I think it was the Saturday night before camp. Again, being a young boy, getting up to a bit of mischief. I had my cheekbone broken in a street fight. So showed up to school Monday morning. The swelling was still there, so you couldn't tell that the face was actually caved in. But if you touched it, it was like the cheekbone wasn't there. It was just
You'd
soft.
almost lose a finger in it.
Exactly. So the puffing disguised that, So they're like, oh, no, you can't come on. You can't go, no, I want to come to camp. Anyway, so we went to camp. After a couple of days, the swelling went down. You could see it was a bit more sunk in. So get home from camp on the Friday, like, oh, let's go take you to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, found out the cheekbone was broken. And then they're like, oh, we got to book you in for surgery now. Like, oh, okay. So I had to have the face
that night.
Well, it's funny. Like, we showed up to the hospital and the nurse goes, what are you doing here? She goes, like, I don't want this for the rest of my life. She's like, you should have come here straight away. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, but I had school camp. I want to go into school camp, So, yeah. So, anyway, got it fixed.
Must have been a good camp.
I didn't want to miss out on it. We know there's going to be a good time on it. It was the first of the survival camps where you pack your own bag, you pack your food, you pack whatever you want for a couple of days, and then off you go in a group and walk off into the bush. So I didn't want to miss out on that. It's the first one of the year. So I was like,
school camps were the best back in the day. We love school camps.
I miss it. Campfire, a couple of marshmallows. And then
at night time, I've got one story that Paul told me. He said that one day you guys were sleeping in the cabins. And he just hears from outside you going, oh, and apparently the bloke above you had pissed the bed and it had sunk through the mattress and trickled onto you.
That is true. So school camp, that was school camp. Yeah, went off on horseback out into the bush as well, and they had a small little cabin there.
Yeah, and
I don't know how wide it was. It might have been like 4 or 5 meters wide, and there was just a bit of plywood separating the ground from, like, I guess, a mezzanine level. And the younger kids were up on the top, and the older guys were down the bottom. And anyway, halfway through the night, I'm just laying there. I'm like, I feel something touching my face. And I'm like, what's that? I go, oi, you pissed. Boof, boof, boof. Start hitting the roof. What are you doing?
Why didn't you just get out of there?
and then another teacher turns around and goes, shut up, it's just raining. I go, what, it's only raining on me, is it? They go,
it's salty.
So I get up, and then at the move, I get out. And it wasn't even the crack of dawn yet, and we're out in the bush. It would have been, it must have been like maybe 4 o'clock-ish. Had to take myself down. Mind you, I had no sleeping bag, no real clothes either now. I was in my shorts and shoes. Had to walk down to the little stream, wash my face off, and then go back to the campsite and sit on a chair just shivering like this until everyone got up and we could leave, that would
have been an interesting experience.
Yeah,
that would have been some way to wake up. Do you remember if you were dreaming transition?
I was like, what's that? And I got up and I wanted to rip this kid off his bed and just throw him out. And the teacher's like, leave him alone. I'm like, mate, if I'm up, he's going to get up as well,
Yeah.
So
he just went back to sleep.
Yeah, I left him and then wait till everyone get up. And I had to actually ride the horse back for another 3 hours to camp, to where we were situated, with like smelly t-shirt, smelly clothes. And I was like, oh, it wasn't a good experience at all.
That would have been. Just while we're on the note of stitching you up, Rach says, Cam Eyes, ask me anything. Why are you allergic to putting washing away?
The dust, it makes me sneeze a bit.
The dust makes you sneeze. Is that your excuse?
We can't let her not put out the washing, She's got to keep doing it. And what she said, the same reason why you're allergic to cooking.
Oh, that's so real.
If she's watching, I might get in trouble.
She was watching the first bit. Maybe
I might get in trouble for a couple of comments that I say about her. So I better keep a tight lip.
So back to the boxing now.
Yep.
Enough stitching you up. That's the only stories that I acquired, I promise. might bring us now. So how did you transition then from your amateur to your pro career?
So my last amateur fight was the national championships over in Perth in, I can't remember when it was. I think it might have been 2011, something that was leading up to a Commonwealth Games, because I know it was the selection trials for that. So I lost in a semi-final against the guy who ended up winning the national title and went on to compete in the Commonwealth Games. So then after that, I just thought, we've done 5 years of amateur boxing. Why not give a shot at the pro ranks? I've guess my style never really suited amateur style. It's grown up and been trained in a gym that was sort of based for professional boxers and professional kickboxers. I never really had that sort of fast, amateur, sharp, sort of slick style that they have, where you score the points, you get out, score the points, you get out. And I remember having a couple of fights where I gave a few standing 8 counts and dropped the guy and still lost the fight, because in amateur boxing, yeah, exactly. If this guy if your opponent throws a double jab, scores a double jab, he's got 2 points. If I then drop him with a big right hand, he's up still because he's scored 2. I've only scored that 1 point. They don't give as much merit to a drop or a standing 8 count as they do, in the professionals. So as soon as I finished the national titles, like, all right, let's go for pros and see what we can do there.
Yeah. And then do you remember your first few fights and how that went down?
So first few fights, first fight was with a guy from Brisbane, Queensland. And then he came down to Melbourne to fight. It was on a Sunday afternoon. Both on debut, which was good. The promoter happened to organise 2 debut fighters, which was good.
And did you just have Paul in your corner at this stage, or was there Paul as well as a few others?
No, Paul, Brendan, who else there was? Joe, who else was there? Eddie Dalek was around as well. So there's still pretty much the same crew who has always been there. So that was my first. I went the distance. I won, I think, on unanimous points against a taller, sort of rangy guy. My style had always sort of been, I guess, a pressure fighter, just forcing the pace, closing the gap, scoring points, getting out. And my fitness, I guess, was my biggest strength. I just worked with that. Yeah, so came away with a win on my first fight. Ended up winning 5 fights after that, I think it was 5 or 6 fights after that before I lost my first bout. Yeah.
So you lost your 6th or 7th bout?
So I had 9 in total. I won the last 2. So sorry, it was the 7th one that I lost. Yeah. So I won 6 in a row. Lost my 7th fight. Yeah.
And how did you find the pro ranks when you got there?
I liked it. I loved it. Yeah. I enjoyed fighting. I just enjoy, I guess, fighting, hitting. It sounds strange to I guess, want to hit and get hit, but I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed like the physical part of the training, the mental stress, and just embracing it all and just going there and, I guess, showcasing your ability.
It's a hard thing to understand for people to enjoy fighting, but I mean, I don't know that feeling yet because like when I fought my one fight, I absolutely was shitting myself. But that's like why I find it interesting to interview people who were fighters, is to sort of try and pick your brains a little bit about what it is about it that you enjoy.
Yeah.
So what was the part about it that you really enjoyed?
I guess it came from the actual gym environment as well. Sort of place you have to call your second home. Like the guys you have in your corner, the guys you have in the gym, they're your best mates, and they just provide, I guess, a good, safe environment for you to, I guess, do something that you love and you have in common with everyone. So you share a mutual interest, and then you just form a close bond with each other through that. And then actually getting to fight is just a bonus on top of that. Just to have all your hard effort and your hard work come out and win or lose, if you give it your all, I guess it's pretty cheesy to say, but you're a winner, I guess. Like you feel like a winner.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, you've got your whole sort of team around you, and
Yeah.
you want to make everyone sort of proud. And
Exactly.
when other blokes are fighting, you're going and supporting them as well. And it's definitely that like sort of team mentality. But was there a part about it that you really sort of struggled with, or?
I guess the hardest thing is just sacrificing, your social life, I guess your relationship with your partner, your family, I guess time that you miss out with them is a hard thing to do. And it's a very selfish sport. You got to give up a lot to, I guess, participate in it as well. You can't just go in half-assed. You got to give it your all if you want to come out, I guess, with some dignity and ability. Like you see some people who jump in the ring and you just think, what are you doing, mate? Like you don't deserve to be there. It's sort of disrespectful to people who do train hard. So that was, I guess, the hardest thing, just focusing 100% of your effort in actual fighting. Yeah.
So you sort of think that if somebody's going to get, especially in the pro ranks, then they have to really sort of give you 100% effort. And we're talking about diet, strength and conditioning stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Training your hardest.
Yeah. Like not everyone, like my athletic ability wasn't phenomenal. I didn't have much athletic ability at all. I just worked hard, and I guess if you're going to show up and you're going to train, you're going to work hard, skills will come. But if you get into the gym and just sort of cruise through, it's not going to pay off. And it's not the right sport to think you can just cruise through it. You're going to get hurt. Even with some athletic ability, you're still going to get hurt. You're still getting hit. So,
can you paint us a picture of like what working hard as a boxer sort of looks like?
So I guess when I started pro fighting, especially after a couple of fights, my sort of weekly routine would be Monday morning. I'd get up. I'd do my sprint work. So it'd be shorter pace sprints. I'm trying to increase my power, my strength, and speed. That'd be Monday morning. Rest during the day, work a few hours at the gym at FightFit, go over to Paul's. I would train. I guess that would be another 4 to roughly about 6 o'clock would be designated training time. Obviously, I had to drive out there. I'd do all my pre-warm-ups, my stretching, whatnot. So I'd spend a good, I guess, from 2:30 when I left home until I get home at like 7. That was dedicated to boxing, driving there, warming up, coming home, whatnot. Tuesday would be my strength and conditioning day. I do maybe my heavy deadlifts, squats, bench press, some ballistic throws and stuff like that. Tuesday night, boxing as well. Wednesday would be a lighter day. I might do a jog. No boxing on Wednesday. Thursday, strength and conditioning in the morning. Same thing, weights and explosive movements. Thursday night box. Friday morning, slow jog. Friday night box. Saturday, boxing and sparring. So, like, it's a full-time gig, but like for up-and-comers, it's, below minimum wage. You're getting peanuts for doing what you love,
Absolutely.
So yeah.
It's not exactly lucrative when you're starting from the bottom.
No. Yeah. And even if you make it half okay, there's still not much money in it for Aussie boxers as well. Yeah.
Do you find that there was sort of a window to go overseas and fight there, or do you really have to make it and really make a huge name for yourself over here first?
You got to sort of prove yourself here first. You got to really, I guess, segment yourself in the ranks as one of the top Aussie boxers. And I guess Jeff Horn is a prime example of that. He came through, he wiped out the whole, the Australian rank, the Aussie rankings. And then from there, he went overseas. He didn't try to, I guess, cherry pick fights and then get a regional title. Then from there, progress to a world title. He sort of went straight through and then made his way up accordingly.
And then to fight a guy like Terence Crawford, towards the end, just a huge fight.
That's massive, especially for, Jeff Horn doesn't have, I guess, the best boxing skills and ability, but he's just awkward. He's strange. He comes from these weird angles. But when you get up to that level, Terence Crawford, he's a pound for pound great now. So that's a big challenge and remarkable feat to just get there,
Huge.
Yeah.
So who were your idols growing up? When you look at it, like Aussie boxers, worldwide, international boxers, who are your idols?
I guess the first sort of guy to get me into boxing was Roy Jones Jr. I remember being at home like Friday nights. There'd always be the Fox ESPN Friday Night Fights. And I watched that every Friday night. And I just remember seeing Roy Jones Jr. just dancing around. Mate, it was
just the swagger as well.
Mate, it was amazing.
He had it all as well: the power, the speed, the technique, the skill.
Yeah, he was amazing. So from there, he was sort of the first guy who I just saw on TV. I never really, back in those days, I don't think we had YouTube and stuff like that to sort of see more fights. So,
not that old, mate. Acting like you're a fossil here.
I still remember we had dial-up internet, so I don't think it was back in those days, and I was rocking like a 3210 as well, you know. So there was no YouTube on your phone.
Fair enough.
So I'm 30 years old now, so we're going back 15 years.
Yeah,
so,
I guess so.
So Roy Jones Jr. And then once I got into the gym, like I really admired Eddie Dalick, even Paul. He was like a great role model, inspiration for me as well. Eddie Dalick always had a target on him. You know, he was the best in the gym, like around my weight, and I was just gunning for him. You know? I was buying my time up. I waited for him to.
Did you guys have a few little jewels of sparring?
We had a couple of good sparrings. Like the lucky thing for me is after Eddie had a fight, he'd go off on the rails a bit. You know, he'd drink a bit, he'd eat shit food.
Yeah.
And that was my time.
And you'd be waiting in the wings.
I'll be waiting. I'm staying fit, mate. When you come back, I'll get a couple of good rounds in, and then that'll be me done. And I remember one time that he actually had a fight. It might have been a couple of weeks prior, and he showed up to the gym. He's put on 10 kilos in 2 weeks, probably eating macas and drinking piss. And he comes into the gym, and it's just me and Eddie at training. Eddie was always late, so it was just me at the start. And then Eddie shows up. Paul's like, "Oh, Kraus, we'll do some sparring." I'm like, "Yes, this is my time. Like, I'm going to have him now. I'm going to have him." Anyway, 5 rounds. I gave it to him for 5 rounds. And it was the last, I say 15 seconds of the last round. I had him in the corner. I was just wailing away. He slips down. Ball hits me with a body shot straight into like the side of the ribs, almost a solar plex. I just went down, bang. And then Paul counted me out. He goes, "One," counted me out. I go, "I can't get up." Eddie just walks off. He goes, "Yeah, I'm the boss then, mate. Don't try and mess with me ever again." You know.
He was just waiting in the wings.
I thought I had my chance, and I thought I had it, and too many smarts. You know, he's been around for too long. Just waited, picked his spot, and boom.
I've actually heard that story before. I think Brennan might have told me that.
He loves saying that story.
And he said that as soon as you hit, you were just like,
yeah, because I thought I had.
As soon as you felt it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You mentioned Paul being obviously one of your inspirations throughout your career. Tell us a little bit about the relationship that you formed with Paul and how important that was for you.
Well, I guess I first met Paul as a school teacher at Frank Dando Sports Academy. And I guess that sort of teacher role has stuck with him, I guess, even till now. You know, I still look at him like going, thinking, I'm just this little boy, you know, he's my teacher. And I get like a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit more quietly spoken around him, which is quite strange, you know, because obviously I've always looked up to him and admired his work ethic, his dedication, and just his drive and his mindset, which is really strong.
And he's just no bullshit as well.
Yeah,
you can't put a single thing past him.
No, that's why it's like I find it still like now daunting a bit, like to speak to him. It's like, am I saying something wrong? Like I've got to really think about what I say.
I have the exact same thing. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, I'm the little puppy dog. He's, I guess, my master, and I'm just trying to please him whenever. It sounds funny, but that's sort of like the role that I sort of feel in it.
Yeah, it's like the sensei and the student, I guess.
Yeah. Even still, like now, you know, we've known each other for 15 years, and I still, like, obviously he's a great mate. You know, he's gone from being a teacher to, I guess, you know, boxing coach, a role model, and now a good mate as well. So it's progressed over the years, but I still definitely admire him, and then everything he does in his life is quite outstanding. Yeah.
When you sort of look at where you were before you sort of started boxing and sort of started working with Paul, what would be some of the lessons that really stand out for you in terms of what you've learned from working with Paul?
I just guess self-respect is the main thing. Self-respect, dedication, and honesty. Yeah. I guess something that you need in boxing as well. You need to respect your body. You need to be dedicated to the sport. You need to respect your coaches around you as well. And you need to be dedicated to show you're going to put in the effort and work as hard as you can towards that. And I guess those are 3 things that can translate to life for everyone, as you know. So definitely, I guess, a good reality check being with him and spending 15 years with him. He's definitely played a big part of my life. Yeah.
So I guess not only the sort of physical, but the personal growth as well that you can experience. What would you say to people who are sort of looking to sort of improve and especially young people as well, who are looking to improve like themselves and get into something productive? What would you say about starting boxing or just physical exercise and strength conditioning as a whole?
Well, I guess you can't blame others, I guess, for your actions, So like, the whole thing, I hang around bad people, so I've got to do bad things. It's like, well, don't hang around bad people then. All right, you have the choice to then better yourself as well. So, I obviously got into a bit of trouble as a young kid. And I don't blame the people that I hang around. I blame myself for I can choose I have the right to choose what I want to do, So blaming, the people I hang around is just a cheap way out of taking responsibility, I guess. So I guess the first action to do is take responsibility for your actions. And I guess if you hang around people that you think aren't the greatest crowd, then isolate yourself from them and approach people, whether it be in a sporting club, a boxing club, a team sport, approach them. Everyone that I've met through, whether it be Paul, whether it be the PCYC gym that I went to as well, Collingwood Boxing Club, I did a couple of weeks at their gym. It's remarkable, a sport that's based around violence, how kind and generous they are to help people out. So the best thing is just reach out to people and don't make excuses for your actions. Yeah.
And so is Collingwood Boxing Club, you mentioned that. Who's over there? Is that Jason Mallier?
No, so that's Cal Bryant's gym.
Yeah.
Jason Mallier box out of there. Aaron Spagnolia. Sorry, mate, I don't know your last name. And there's a few other good amateur boxers that come out of there. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you approach people who are sort of outside of that circle. Can you imagine and remember any sort of specific times where you approached somebody who you thought this person could really sort of be beneficial for me?
Well, I guess for me, I can only relate really to boxing. And that came down to the first guys at the PCYC gym. They came and did a couple of boxing lessons at our school. And then from there, I just went down. Then straight away, I remember his name. I think it was Donnie and Roy. And they were 2 of the coaches down there. And they're great guys. They're outgoing. They're fun to be around. Then they're generous to their time as well. And they were happy to help, So PCYC, get down there if you want to go down there. I'm sure they still do boxing classes now. And that's the youth boxing gym, so boxing center. So from there as well, I approached guys at Collingwood Boxing Club. They're a little bit more serious these days. I don't think he's so...
I was down there a few weeks ago and they're very serious.
Yeah. I don't think he's so open to taking on newcomers. I'm not sure. Don't hold that against me.
It is.
Back in the day, it was like a rundown old shed. It was not the same it is today. It was, and I don't think they had as many boxes there. Now, Cal Bryant has definitely got a good name for himself in the Australian amateur boxing Association. And he's got a lot of good fighters coming out there. So I think they're a bit selective on their people and their weight classes. So they're not so, I guess, free coming to outsiders. But like, I'm sure if you reach out to a lot of boxing gyms, a lot of sporting clubs, they'll be happy to help. Yeah.
Did you used to spar some of the boys down there? Like you used to spar Jason, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a couple of spars with Jason Mellier. Also, Josh Kirill was his name. Who else was down there? That was it. I remember one time we had a sparring session with Jason Mellier, and amateurs being, they fight in the 10-ounce gloves. They got the big padded gloves. We showed up to I think it was Christian's gym out in East Melbourne somewhere, and we're sparring away. And Jason Mellier, he's a pretty slick fighter. He's quick hands, and then he's just fast out. I'm like, God, this guy's fast, And Paul goes over after 2 rounds, like, hey mate, what are you wearing? And he goes, oh, I got 10-ounce gloves on. It's like, what do you mean you're wearing 10-ounce gloves? Put your 16-ounce gloves. He goes, oh no, but they're big padded gloves, like they're thick amateur boxing gloves. They're thick padded at the end. They've got a lot of padding. He's like, mate, I don't care. Put some 16s on, So he got away with that for a couple of rounds. So I always had to get him back for that one.
He's another scallywag.
Yeah. And then, but I'm not sure if they spar with the 10-ounce gloves on, or he tried to get away with a couple of rounds. But I never think I got him back for that one. But,
here's your chance, mate. He'll be
watching. I
watching.
a couple of punches for that one.
Yeah.
A couple of sneakos I might get him with.
So Jason's actually got the nationals in a few weeks, and he'll be looking to qualify for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
Okay.
And he's number 1 in the country for 69 kilograms at amateur at the moment.
Yep.
How do you see him going in the future once he moves up to the pros? And
he's a very slick boxer, I'll give him that. He's still got a bit of that amateur style where he doesn't sit on his punches a lot. He probably could get a little bit more power with his shots if he wanted to, if he just sat down a little bit. I know he's quite a bouncy, springy boxer, which is good, and it suits him. He's perfected that craft. I'd just like to see him every now and then just drop a couple of solid just bangers on some guys, and really drive home with that power. His speed is like his best quality, I guess, and obviously he's got beautiful boxing IQ, beautiful ring craft. He moves well. He's slick. I guess a couple of things from now, I guess, is learn how to really bang.
Yeah,
and really just sit down a few shots.
So kind of from the coach's perspective in you, if you had to look at him and say there's a few things that he could sort of really improve, and once if touch wood he makes that 2020 Olympics, then those would be the things that you'd want to hone in on.
I guess you got to spend time, I guess, changing his style and making him a different fighter leading up to if he makes it. Hopefully, he does make the 2020 Olympics. Congratulations if you do, man. I'm rooting for you. Hopefully, he does make it. Then you're gonna weigh up. Am I going to change his style so he can get a bit more power? But he might be a bit uneasy in the ring because he hasn't used that for so long. If he's used to something, well, I guess run with it.
Stick to what you know, I guess.
Exactly. But obviously, if he wants to jump in the pro ranks, I'd love to see him just hit a couple of solid right hands. I know he came in here, did a couple of pads one time, and he at the start of the year, and his back foot he's like that real shifty, like little just quick feet, and flicks the right hand out, and his back foot comes off the ground a little bit. I'd love to just see him just drop a couple of solid right hands.
Yeah, as you alluded to before, the different styles between the pros and amateurs, that sort of prolific volume punching as compared to as sitting on the punches, digging your shots in the pros. Yeah.
The amateur style has changed a little bit, so they now score 10-9 rounds, and you work off hard, effective punches and I guess effective aggression. I guess 2 qualities that they score the highest, but you have a lot of older judges in the amateur ranks, and I guess this is my opinion. They're going still off the volume of work that gets done. So you got to play to the judges, I guess, scorecard, and then if they're after high work rates, if they like that, then you got to go with it. You can't sit back and think, oh, you've hit him with a couple of good hard shots. Then this guy's just throwing.
Almost makes it a bit confusing for the fighters.
Yeah, and it definitely was that transition when I think it was a few years. Yeah, must have been 4 years ago now when they actually made that transition from point scoring rounds to 10-9 rounds. A lot of people still ahhing about how fights actually scored. So hopefully now they've got it down pat. They've been doing it for a few years now, but it's I think getting into pro ranks, it's a different style of fighting altogether.
Yeah. Do you see any sort of people like up and coming boxers who you think could really make some noise on the international scene coming up from Australia?
Well, the two Maloney brothers, they're doing big things at the moment. They've had a couple of good fights, strong little guys, and they fought for a world title in the Super Series. I don't know the brothers' names, like the individual names. One of them fought in the Super Series and had a great fight against a solid Puerto Rican fighter over there. Good, and went the distance, and he just showed tremendous heart, man, and determination. Had a good fight. The other brother, I guess, he won a world title eliminator over in Chile. Stopped the bloke over there, so they're going to do big things coming, man. Big things for those two boys.
Maloney boys, ones to look out for.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you watch the Tim Tszyu versus Camilleri fight?
I didn't watch that fight. No.
Tim Tszyu looks pretty solid.
Yeah, he's pretty slick, man.
He definitely
Sharpshooter.
outclassed Joel Camilleri.
Yeah, Joel Camilleri actually fought him in the amateur ranks. I lost to him, unfortunately. Fought him in the amateur ranks, but he's sort of been never really, I guess, textbook boxer. Always sort of wild.
He's very awkward.
Just comes from different angles, rolls the right, sort of angled left hands coming up. And I sort of expected Tim Tszyu to be the sharper guy and just picking his places, picking his shots a bit better. So yeah, he's still quite, I guess, fresh to the boxing game, Tim Tszyu as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things can change between now and then.
He looks solid though. There's obviously a lot of hype because of he's Costa Tszyu's kid.
Yeah,
but he looks like a solid boxer.
I reckon he'll do good things as well. Who else is there? Well, that I heard about that the fight the other night. The Telford and Jake Brubaker was meant to be a great fight. The one before,
was it the undercard before?
Yeah. I heard that was meant to be a massive, like a good scrap. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either, but I'm dying to watch that one. That was going to be a good scrap.
Can you think of somebody who you've sparred in the past or who you fought in the past who you can look back on and say, geez, that person was particularly good?
I guess someone like the highest sparring I had was probably against Cesar Amonzo. He was a southpaw, originally I think from the Philippines. He fought Michael Katsidis in a fight at the MGM Grand. I don't know what it was for, but just a massive big brawl. And I remember me going down to Superfight Gym in St Kilda, and like I was nervous as man because I watched a few of his highlights and a few of his fights before going down there, and I go, shit, I'm gonna get beat up here. And I did a couple of rounds the first day, 4 rounds the first time, a couple of rounds more after that, 6, and then end up sparring 8 rounds a couple of times with him. And man, we just sat like toe to toe and just brawled for 8 rounds. And yeah, that was pretty intense, man. I can't remember what I did with the videos. I had a couple of them recorded. I think I must have lost the phone or broken and lost the videos with it, but that was probably the highest level of sparring that I had.
Yeah.
I guess Jason Melly I've sparred a few times. He looks to be doing good things. Who else is there? Brock Jarvis here, even though he's a bit lighter than me. Got to spend a week up at Jeff Fenning's house and sparred him. Sparred Brock Jarvis.
You didn't spar Jeff, did you?
Nah. I'd be, I guess, too scared to spar him. He's a champion.
Yeah, exactly.
Brock Jarvis, he's got good things coming as well. Good, strong fighter. He's light compared to me. He was probably like a good, I guess, 10 kilos lighter. But he's still a strong little kid, like competitive kid. Like you think, I've got the weight advantage of him, so I'm not going to push the pace too hard. But he just comes out firing. He just wants to fight. It's like, what am I going to do? So you got to fire back at him, So
you got to match the pace.
And I'm like, what do I do? Like, he just keeps coming. Like, well, I guess we got to spar him, don't we? Like, we got to go for it.
Do you ever get, because I mean, I know that you're helping out with the FightFit Challenge now, and you have been for a while, I guess, and you're coaching guys, and obviously that is some of the most nervous people you'll ever see is people before the FightFit Challenge.
Yeah.
How do you relate your fighting experience to what they're going through, and how do you try and ease someone's nerves in that situation?
Well, I guess the hardest thing is just to, I guess, get them to relax and be focused on the task ahead, not get caught up too much on, I guess, letting the emotions drive your actions too much. And I guess it's easy to say from my perspective, because I've, I guess, been in a few times, but you just got to reassure them that they've done the hard work, they've done the training, and now it's just time to go out there, stay focused on the task ahead, and just, I guess, with some of the fighters, just keep a couple of basic skills, use them, and just use it constantly and perfect it over the fight, and don't get too caught up in your emotions. I guess it's hard to explain, because like the lights come on, people are cheering, people are yelling. It's like, what's going on here? And it's especially the guys here doing the challenge, they don't know what they're in for. Like when you come out and like everyone's there, like yelling, screaming, you're like, shit, what am I doing now? Like, I didn't think it was going to be this big.
Honestly, it was the coolest but the most scary experience of my life.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of watching the fights beforehand and you're just like, it's really hard to believe that you're going to be in that ring.
Yeah.
Like you're just watching, you're like, okay, here we go. And then once you get out, I remember my music started playing. I started walking out and you've got like over 1,000 people's eyes on you. You've got cameras flashing.
Yeah.
You've got this like walkway to the ring. So
people are crowding
people are crowding you. There's all drunk people who want to see you get smashed. So I remember just kind of like putting my head down and just like shuffling to the ring and getting in. But if I had any advice for people, it would be enjoy the walkout. Enjoy those moments because it's you might only get to feel like a rock star like that once. But the nerves are just crippling. They were for me, but once I got in there and I started fighting, it was fine. But...
And like me being in amateurs for a few years, the walkouts and stuff aren't like that. Like that's full on. The FightFit Challenge, it's a great experience. It's like once you come away from it, you go, geez, that was amazing. I guess I got to build up to that through the amateur ranks. You get to, you sit, I guess everyone's fighting there. There's only, maybe 100, 200 people at the amateur boxing day. And no music. It's just, right, guys fighting, they finish, you jump in and go, So having that sort of, I guess, warm up to actually the pro ranks and then walking out, the nerves, I guess, weren't as bad. But these guys here in the challenge, they're just straight in. They're straight in. And it's like...
It's a pretty unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
Is it kind of the first of its kind? I'm not even sure the origins of it, or if there's other things going on like it in Australia.
There's a couple going on. I know a few other gyms run similar things to it. The first, I think, FightFit challenges were based over in Powerhouse Function Centre there. I know they had one at a nightclub that used to be up in the corner just here, but now the Melbourne Pavilion, all that boxing is shown there, all the professional boxing, the UFC, or the AFC, what's the AFC? Yeah, AFC, and the kickboxing is all based there, and so like pretty much like purpose-based venue for boxing. And we're so lucky here at FightFit to be able to use that same facility because they've got the lights, they've got the cameras, they got the setup, the ring, the stadium, everything.
Whenever I meet girls at a pub or whatever, I'll show them the photos.
I'll
show them.
I'm a champion.
And then and they'll be like,
champion.
"Wow, it's like so." And I'm like, it's nothing.
No,
I think it looks so professional. And...
it's a great night though. Great night.
Pretty awesome. And how have you found the last few FightFit challenges, coaching people, imparting your wisdom on others?
I I get quite nervous for everyone as well, because I guess you build a relationship with the guys that you coach, even though it might be only 8 weeks or so, you still see them working hard and you want them to do well for themselves. So you still feel a bit of nerves for them. I guess I'm still quite fresh and young to coaching. A lot of it, I guess, is in the mind, but being able to talk it and express it and explain to them what to do is the hardest thing for me. Like I've been in boxing for a long time and some of the stuff there is second nature to me, where these guys, they're not too sure. Well, they haven't done, I guess, the decade of training like I've done. So you got to simplify it a bit for them, and just give it them all, give it your all and just not hold back and just go for it in the end, So it's a balance between emotions of like being aroused and excited and then being over aroused and like getting out there and losing your mind,
Yeah. You often find that the ones who manage to keep their cool the most can sort of do the best.
Yes. It's when you're thinking a bit in the situation. But we had a few guys over the last challenge that like have come back to the corner and be like at the end of the round, like, oh, I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs. I'm like, mate, you got to get up. You can't just stop here, like it's the end of the second round. He's like, I can't move my legs. I can't. I go, mate, just do it. You can do it. Get up. And you got to, I guess, give them that self-belief and that self-desire. Just keep on pushing and going.
Absolutely.
And it's a good thing to experience with someone as well, being able to coach them and then see them succeed is
push through their limits and do what they didn't think that they could as well.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I had Adam and Brendan as my coaches, and they definitely helped me to sort of push through my limits and were really awesome. And I was so glad to have those guys in my corner, and you celebrate after it together. And it was a really awesome experience. But do you see yourself stepping up the FightFit challenge coaching?
I definitely like to, I guess, help out with students in the challenge, participants in the challenge. It's a hard job though. Like you gotta, I guess, understand the fundamentals of coaching the sport, but how to relate to people as well and how to coach them through that. There's a lot of
what makes people tick as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like, even though people think you might be a good boxer, it doesn't necessarily make you a good coach. It's something that I definitely like to work on and be able to help out with the challenge. And I guess I'll learn over time and see how I go.
Yeah, I guess you're being pretty humble here, but I mean, you are like a pretty good, from what I've seen. I mean, who am I to judge? But yeah, from what I've seen, like technically, you've got a lot to offer in terms of those technical things. I mean, you took a few classes during my FightFit challenge as well, and you added something completely new to the classes in terms of footwork and just little things that we hadn't quite like. Obviously, Paul only has a certain amount of time that he can use to show us things, and to have you come in was like a real like extra bonus as well. So do you see yourself carrying? I mean, you've got definitely the people skills, technical skills. You've worked with Paul Fifield in terms of conditioning, who's one of the best. You've got a master's in strength and conditioning. Do you see yourself taking that further?
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's having the right person come along as well, I guess. Like definitely the guys in the FightFit challenge, I loved coaching them. But they only take it to a certain extent. They're only here to participate in this. Some guys do choose to go on and box in the amateur ranks. I guess it's just finding that right guy who you want to coach, guy or girl, you want to coach and then take down that path. But yeah, definitely I'd love to, I guess, provide my insight on what I think about boxing and how I think it should be done and my ideology on boxing and training. It's just finding that right guy to come along and guy or girl to come along. And, you go. But yeah, I'm definitely keen just to, I guess, challenge myself as well.
Yeah,
totally. And how, I guess it's in the head. It's just, again, just expressing it and trying to portray that to someone else.
What do you think for somebody who's going to do a challenge, say for somebody who's thinking about doing something similar, what do you think are the most important things that people can get out of such an undertaking?
I guess it's just the I guess they understand that you can do a whole lot more than you can, like you think, like you can push yourself to the limits and get in there and actually fight someone and get through not even just the fight, but the 8 weeks of the training is pretty grueling, like you hear people now going, oh, after 3 weeks, I'm so sore. And like a lot of people think they physically can't do it, and to be able to, I guess, get to the end of the challenge, 8 weeks of training, hard training, and then fight is quite a remarkable feat in itself, so just being able to push the body to its limits.
Yeah, it's incredibly satisfying.
Yeah. And see what the mind can do. The mind's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
And just you look back at it, like I guess you can do that yourself now and just go, shit, I did something pretty great, like pretty remarkable. Like you might jump in the ring and like it'd be a total flop and it might not pay off, but that you've put the hard work in and dedicate yourself for 8 weeks.
Yeah, and the benefits of it definitely transcend the fight alone.
Yeah.
It's the training and like the mental fortitude that you can go and the mateship that you have with the people in the challenge and the relationships with coaches. And
it's like you did the challenge, what was it, a year ago now? Was it a year ago now?
It was in December, so 6 months ago.
And you're still hanging around,
Yeah, like a bad smell.
Exactly. So, you definitely make, good friends out of it.
Yeah.
It's not just about, I guess, the fight and then it's done, it's over.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I found a way to weasel my way.
Haven't got rid of you yet.
Yeah. We've got a few questions, Cam. I'm going to do my best to read them. So I'm going to adjust my microphone.
Sure.
So Rachel McAfee, who isn't and who wants to, just get Karen Watts Karen to live with you. Problem solved.
Does
that make sense to you?
That's about the washing, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
The washing. Rachel can do it. She's fine on her own.
Junior Woolley. Shout outs to Junior.
Junior, what's up, mate?
It says longest yard as the movie. Does that make sense to you?
That's Bob Sapp.
Oh, that was the Bob Sapp movie. You broke my nose.
That's it.
Ruan says, could you go 4 rounds with Ruan and survive? Huge.
I'll skull a long neck, spar him 4 rounds, and then skull another one, mate. That'd be sweet. I'm still waiting for you to meet me at 80 kilos, buddy.
That answers that for you, Ruan. All right, man. I think it's been awesome chatting with you. I'll just let everybody know quickly that we are on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on Anchor. We're on YouTube, all that. So Cam's going to get his mug on all those different platforms. Thanks again, man. It's been awesome.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
And I'm sure we'll have another chat soon, maybe after the next challenge, or we'll definitely fit it in again.
Lovely.
We'll just scratch the surface. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.